Wait! I want you to know that no matter what happens, you've been a champion to the Krogan people, a friend of Clan Erdnot, and a sister to me. To every Krogan born after this day, the name Shepherd will mean hero. Now, let's show them why. Go! I've got this! I am Erdnot Rex, and this is my planet!
Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Arbitration Studios as we repel the Reapers and the whole damn thing of Mass Effect 3. I'm gonna run out of those analogies here sooner or later.
Very true.
We said goodbye to a very dear friend, and we have cured the genophage on Tuchanka and thus liberated the Krogan people from genocide. I think it's time for a rest and refit at the Citadel. What do you think?
Agreed.
Or is it? Air traffic control, this is Victor 99er. Come in.
What's going on here?
Victor 99er. Air traffic control. I do love how this is like an out of nowhere story time, because sometimes, it's the whole in the gameplay loop of Mass Effect, we encounter Cerberus and we encounter the Elusive Man on Mars, and then we kind of don't see anything. And now we've reached this point where we are going to swerve after what is a humongous victory.
Yep.
Into something that is gonna kind of start. That's going to kind of start an okay. This is in the background now.
So
sort of thing.
This whole thing with Cerberus and whatnot and how it plays out is one of the many reasons, and there's more than one, obviously, but many reasons that I consider Mass Effect not 3 separate games, but one game in 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not one of these guys that says Andromeda doesn't count or Andromeda isn't. I liked Andromeda. We'll talk about Andromeda when we do our playthrough of that. I just think that this is a story, and that is a different story told in the same universe, which is a perfectly fine thing. To tell stories in the same universe that are not, or are just tangentially related.
But to get to the point about this being one story, split across 3 parts.
Right. You kind of, the connection with Cerberus, where they're just kind of a little bit in the first one, and you kind of hear about them, and they're kind of a shadowy thing, and then the second one, you're heavily involved with them, and then the third one, they're basically the antagonists. They're not the big bad guy, but the big bad guy is essentially a force of nature, so it's a lot less identifiable. And so here we have...
Say what you will about Cerberus, their troopers have some serious drip, though.
They do. Oh my gosh.
The white, great. Black, and yellow.
Yeah.
You don't think to incorporate yellow in a sci-fi color scheme, because all military science fiction, camouflage is a thing of the past.
Exactly.
I have no idea why.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, a little bit about our decision-making process here, because I started to go into that about our squad mates. I brought Liara and I brought Garrus for a couple reasons. First off, both are our oldest lasting companions. I brought Garrus because we're going to be wandering through CSEC. So this is a homecoming for him.
Right.
And we will see a very important aspect of that. I brought Liara because we need to, kind of a secondary objective here is going to be to grab Ashley. Liara and Ashley know each other, so that is a we are safe people sort of thing, particularly in a high adrenaline environment.
Absolutely.
This math has nothing to do with the outcomes that we will encounter, but it's sort of the internal role playing that I go through on it. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
all of our companions, though, at various points throughout this, will have interesting things. One of my favorite is James Vega. When you go into a bathroom and you see some corpses, like shot while taking a leak. Come on, Cerberus.
Exactly. I have some standards. Damn it. We're human beings, damn it.
So I say camouflage is a thing of the past, and then here's Garrison Desert Storm camo.
Right. I mean, it's a personal choice, really.
Commander Bailey, who has somehow survived the effects of a cutscene bullet, but I think that was because he wasn't shot with a cutscene bullet. I think he was shot in gameplay.
Right. Also a gut shot.
And frankly, self-administered patch of Medigel will at least help.
Yeah, and remember, putting your hand nakedly over a wound helps you survive. By video game logic.
Well, in the field, in real life, it's better than nothing.
Oh, yeah, it's better than nothing, but anything's better than nothing. See, as a military person who wore a uniform for many, many years, I appreciate the fact that Bailey rolls his sleeves. Mm-hmm. And most of the CSEC personnel do roll their sleeves.
Well, if you look, the uniform actually has a strap to accommodate that.
I always, and that was something I always thought our uniform should have. I always rolled my sleeves, even in the winter. It's just, your arm's got to be.
There's that strap right there that I was mentioning.
Exactly. I think that looks so cool. I think that looked really cool. That's a cool looking uniform. It really is.
It really bugs me, by the way, that in terms of CSEC, that we see Turian and human officers galore. We never once saw an Asari officer.
No.
Or a Solarian officer, now that I think about it.
Or you know what else? A Krogan officer.
Well, it makes sense that there wouldn't be a Krogan officer because you have to be a council species.
And that's wrong.
Well, the Krogan were lined up to be on the council, and then they punched out the Asari ambassador.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, yes, rightfully so.
So, gameplay-wise, I think that this is kind of... I enjoyed this. There's...
I fucked up there.
There aren't a lot of stupid objectives. It's just kill everyone.
Well,
and I like that. There's not like you've got to take this by a certain amount of time, or you've got to keep this person alive, or you've got to... No. It's just kill everyone.
You bring up a certain amount of time thing, and this is something that Mass Effect 3 does extremely well, is that it gives you an incredible sense of urgency.
Yes.
It gives you... I had that sense of urgency all throughout my very first playthrough of Mass Effect 3. I gotta go and I gotta do these things up and build the Crucible and get to Earth ASAP in order to minimize the amount of loss of life. Now, you figure out that there is no actual time limit.
Right.
And that kind of can take you out of it if you are looking for that, holy crap sense of urgency, which makes me think that there should have been some sort of time limit. I have no idea how to actually implement such a thing in gameplay.
Yeah.
So I can't criticize. As far as should have done X, Y. Just that it should have been implemented. But this is an example of a mission where there is a time limit implied, because you have to make it first to the Solarian counselor who's missing in action, and then you got to make it to the rest of the counselors and stop Udina's coup. Because contrary to popular belief, if this was just Cerberus acting alone, this would not be a coup d'etat. This would be just an assault and regime change.
Right.
But because we're working with Udina from within, it is, in point of fact, a coup d'etat against Citadel space. And it also kind of, should we get into Udina's motivations now or later?
Not really.
Okay.
On the toilet? Really, guys? This is just not right.
Yeah, that's Garrus. Cerberus didn't even drag him out into the hall. So, but it is sort of one of those things of,
Well, I think it's a really storytelling wise. If you're telling a story and you want your bad guys to seem really bad, have them shoot somebody on the toilet.
yeah,
Like no, because like just like you're just thinking of it and you're going, wait a minute,
look,
who does that?
if you're going to kill him, fine, kill him.
Yeah.
But let him zip.
Exactly.
So, yeah, the whole, from Cerberus's perspective, this is a maneuver that makes sense because it may cost a dramatic amount in manpower, in time, in money, and other non-monetary resources to pull it off. But, this was, when you think about it, also how the Reapers work. Decapitate central government
Yep.
by taking over the Citadel, which the Reapers had set up to be the place where a species would want to be your central government. And this isn't even like new information. This goes back to Mass Effect 1.
Right.
Um,
Well, yeah, no, they are following kind of the Reaper thing. They're going to take the Citadel.
well, and because they're implementing Reaper technology into their troops, that means that everyone there is indoctrinated, and that kind of outlines the Reapers are influencing them to do this to go back to their old playbook.
Yep.
Because it'll make the Reapers' lives so much easier right now.
Yeah, it would, but
It also makes me wonder if there was ever a Reaper cycle where either the Citadel was never discovered or the Citadel was treated as this place of, not necessarily with suspicion, but sort of, okay, this space station is nice, but we don't need it as our capital.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I should think like I would think that realistically speaking, humans would
Be suspicious of
be suspicious of it and not be comfortable there because it's in the middle of like space. There's no planet around it. This isn't Babylon 5 where it's above an actual planet.
And also with Babylon 5, it was actually built by human,
Yes.
Centauri, and who were the people with the coral reefs on their heads?
Oh, Mumbari.
Yeah, it was built by their hands.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. It was built. And Narn, I think, were also involved in it. Maybe I'm not sure.
But at that point, weren't Narn essentially more useful as a labor force? Like even though they were free from the Centauri, they were, I don't want to say subsistence farming level, but they were definitely they were developing.
Yeah, you have now given me a reason to rewatch the series, which I generally don't need. Because I do love the show, and I have always felt like there were certain elements of Babylon 5 that made an appearance in, like, not that they specifically looked at it with the council and other things like that, but more along the lines of the people involved in making this have seen Babylon 5 and were like, that's a really good idea. Like that's a neat kind of storytelling idea. To have this space station in space where where the galactic society meet, and then humans come and ruin it.
But it was a human idea in this case. So.
But yeah, in Babylon 5 it was a human idea. In this, which is why it got ruined. Because human ideas.
I do. Liara, you're being so professional military minded by doing the hit the door thing.
Yeah, here we are.
So,
dead.
Okay. I have now seen a Solarian CSEC officer.
Yep.
I stand corrected. So.
Yeah, well, it's hard when you don't see a lot of them to kind of place them.
Well, the Solarians were almost an afterthought in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, they were.
Until we met Karahi.
I love me some Karahi.
And then there's this fucking clown.
And then there's this guy.
Kai Lang is a character that had so much potential, but there was a failing here where you had to do homework to know Kai Lang and understand who it was, which means that you had to immerse yourself in the multimedia universe, the novels and the comics and shit.
If people
in order
can't
to get
see me shaking my head in agreement to you, but I am agreeing with you wholeheartedly.
So, so instead it's all, who the fuck is this guy and why is he so intimidating with his sword and his palm laser?
No, like, honestly, my first playthrough.
But we got one response to that. Oh, Thane.
Oh,
You have psychic powers and a gun. Why do you dive into hand-to-hand combat? Anyway, I interrupted you on something about Kai Lang.
oh yeah. With Kai Lang, the first time I saw him, I was like, "Why am I supposed to be intimidated by this guy? He's got a sword." And like the whole time, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, he can use it, but it's a sword. I have a gun.
I have space magic.
I have gun and space magic. If swords were important, they would have given me one."
In Mass Effect 3, we kind of did get a sword. It was a laser sword, but
It was the stabby thing on your hand, which is better than a sword. It's a stabby thing on your hand.
although in our case, it's more of like a space magic punch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a space magic punch. Why? Because we're Agatha goddamn Fisty.
Because we're Agatha Fisty. And here we have a car chase, which I think, and as my wife has numerous times said, that no movie is a good movie unless it has a car chase and explosions.
I knew I liked your wife.
And right here we get both. And again, this guy jumps on the vehicle, and I'm like,
And I really,
okay.
and this is actually one of those things where it's like, no, this is actually kind of awesome. And I'm assuming like the space sword is like has like a monomolecular blade. That palm shield thing that he did, they really needed to do something to emphasize it. And I know there's a whole slew of mods for PC, but I'm a filthy console peasant that like make it more obvious. Where it's
Yeah.
like where he like raises one of the Geth force fields or something.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly. That's yeah. I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not, like my brain fills in that kind of stuff. As a storyteller, and I don't mind it not being there.
It's well,
Like I didn't even notice it wasn't there. Like my brain is actually putting in.
it's there and it's visible, but it's so, but it's not blink and you miss it. But it could have been emphasized by literally just just increasing the hue of the force field as you saw it.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a Star Trek force field, or it wasn't visible unless something touched it.
Right.
Speaking of visible and touching things and getting zapped in return, do you think lightsabers would make great bug lanterns?
Yes.
Cool.
Unless you drop them, in which case we would all die horribly.
So again, continuing the chase, and this is sort of a, we got to find the counselors now, and fortunately they are right alongside us on this pathway.
Are you using the? Yeah. Are you using the?
I keep forgetting which one is the charge button.
The which assault rifle are you using?
It's the baseline Avenger. It was a case of I valued rate of fire over stopping power in this, and that's kind of a general philosophy of mine. Automatic weapons that hit okay, but you get hit several times instead of semi-automatic hard-hitting weapons or ultra, like the exception to this is the N7 Hurricane. I love that gun. It's quite possibly my favorite gun in the Mass Effect series, which is so it's the exception to this rule. But like the kind of guns that also like shoot stupid fast, but essentially shoot you with beanies,
Yeah.
doesn't appeal to me either. So it's a the other thing is that when I picked up the this Cerberus pistol, and you saw me earlier going out of my way to grab it.
It's a good pistol.
Well, it's a shotgun in pistol form.
Yeah, it's a hand cannon. It's a freaking hand cannon.
So that was kind of like the what I would use for the shotgun side of things. The other thing is that this is we are closing in on the last time in which the Vanguard's charge Nova play loop is going to be useful.
You're right.
Here. Because like up next is a there's going to be an Atlas mech, and you can't like I have charged that, but that was also high risk
Yeah.
in the past, and this is a situation where there's not enough reward to do something so high risk. So sort of going into this acknowledging the disadvantage that we are going to be at. So
my strategy is the more bullets, the better, because I'm a terrible shot. And that's was always my strategy in real life too.
So for you, if it's not the you really love the light machine gun, the Revenant.
Yeah, I like the Revenant.
And then the N7 Typhoon that got added. It started off as paid DLC, and then it was just something you could get from the Spectre offices.
Yep.
Later, and that thing is it might as well be a cheat code. Thank you, Liara, for floating them over the balcony and then dropping them. That's great. And that is why biotics are awesome.
And here's the truth, folks. If you had biotics, that's exactly what you would do. Well, it's throw people invisibly off the edge of things in a way that no one else could know.
If I had biotics, I would throw up a barrier around my vehicle the entire time, so that way I wouldn't have gotten into a car wreck a month ago.
Well, I mean, yes, that would also have helped.
I'm not bitter. I'm extremely bitter.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
It's true. But I mean, bitterness is not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not a good action movie sequence without what's about to come, and that is an elevator sequence.
Yes, this elevator sequence. Which is not, she goes running instead of opening up. It's just opening up with her, because obviously in the cutscenes they automatically switch you to the handgun, which is, I have no idea why, but they do.
Because generally this is an area that fits the definition in the NATO training manuals as close quarters combat. So an offensive handgun would be better suited than an assault rifle,
which would be perfectly fine. But in that scene where they're in the elevator, instead of running at them, open up with the with the gun and see how many of them you can kill before the doors close.
I do love this whole all right, let's send the elevator. Do we send the elevator crashing down, or does it just stop and we go up?
I think it stops and you go up.
Okay, cool. Another reason why I chose this handgun is because it is essentially a pocket shotgun. Yeah, no, we're not dealing with that.
Hey,
one of them goddamn ninjas, no.
Fucking no. That's just, anytime I see a ninja, that's exactly my thought process on it, which is fucking no.
And that's something about the whole Cerberus line up that we have, because now we have seen everything that they have to offer.
Yeah.
Short of something that's in the Armax arena. But you've got your line troopers.
Yep.
The commandos with their submachine guns, although they're depicted with Maddox. You've got their squad leaders, who do have the Maddox and the shields. You have the engineers, who have the turrets to kind of both flush you out and then keep you suppressed for grenades.
Right.
Those are great. The Nemesis Sniper is a fantastic addition, and frankly, they need to give them a cloak. every now and then. So that way
that would have been cool.
So that way the only way you could locate them was by the laser. The Phantoms don't have a place
no,
for me.
well,
They're just there because someone likes goddamn ninjas.
and I hate ninjas.
And speaking of hatred,
Oh,
let's
God.
talk about a whole slew of hatreds. I hate Udina. I really don't like Ashley right now because she's pointing a gun at me, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because, frankly, I need to prove myself here.
Yeah,
Like
that's
everything Ashley is doing is 100% reasonable.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Caden. Caden's more conciliatory, Ashley is more duty-minded.
Yes.
And that's just a side effect of their personalities.
Mm-hmm. I don't, and I agree with you. I don't think there's anything. I think the only bad guy in this entire situation is Udina, and
that right there is why I prefer to keep the council alive. Is for the "I fucking told you so" moment.
yes, well, of course.
All right, but you know, this is also what I kind of call the Captain America moment.
Right?
Because, you know, the arc of Captain America is that even when Captain America is on the wrong side, he's doing it for the right reasons.
Yep.
Ashley knows that even when we're on the wrong side, it's the wrong side for the right reasons. And legally speaking here, and according to, for one better way to put it,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I really am, but that moment right there feels so good.
and I carved the bullet specifically to be fish-shaped.
Exactly.
So-
With his name on it.
Because we're Agatha goddamn Fisty.
And we have been waiting for this moment for 3 games. I wish there was an option to kill him in the first game. Honestly, I hate that character so much. He is such a weasel.
But much like Ric Flair, he's a weasel we kind of have to admire, and I think this is the point where we have to talk about Udina's motivations. Because what Udina did was clearly wrong in facilitating this whole takeover attempt.
Yeah.
All right, no one's gonna say Udina was right, but I think his motivations were understandable.
No.
Pending whether or not he was indoctrinated, and there is hefty debate that that BioWare has not commented on.
Which I think is a wise decision not to comment.
Yeah, don't give a definitive answer on this.
No, let people tell the story that they, let people fill in and whatnot where...
Yeah, if Udina was indoctrinated, that removes his agency throughout the whole thing. He's doing what the Reapers wanted. But I think it's a better story if Udina chose to facilitate this takeover.
Yeah.
And I understand why. At this point, he is functionally the chief executive and the head of state for all of humanity.
Yep.
Because Earth is taken over, Arcturus Station is destroyed, everyone's drifting in space, and he has to cobble something together.
Yeah.
And with the historic stonewalling that the Citadel Council has presented, that we only just at this point chipped away on, and frankly, we were on our way back to report a great success. So Udina didn't know about it at the time.
Right.
So, to have Udina as a desperate man trying to change the game to save his species, I understand. And it is very much sympathetic, even if it was the wrong choice. And it was the wrong choice for 2 reasons, because he never once considered, what if I fail? Because now the answer to that is humanity is effectively under a military dictatorship.
So here is my take on Udina. Well, you finish first. You go ahead and finish.
And rightly or wrongly, I am iffy about being under a military dictatorship, even in something that is such an extreme example as this, where such steps might make sense. I inherently do not like it, even under the most extreme circumstances. I always favor civilian control of governance.
So does the military, by the way.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
So does a sensible military.
So does the sensible military. So my take on Udina is twofold. The first fold is that he is a human-centric bigot.
Mm-hmm.
he is well established as a human-centric bigot. He does not like aliens. Not to the point of he is what one would call a human supremacist who is willing to understand that he needs to work with the creatures he hates.
I'll let you finish, but I think calling him a human supremacist is going a step too far. But
I don't think it is. But I don't think it is because I have known many people in government who thought like that, but were able to operate in such a way that they seemed more reasonable. But at the end of the day, their entire, like, no, my people are my people and your people are your people.
both of us, having worked in paramedical fields right here, can understand this quandary. By the way,
yeah. We've got the
and I let this one run, but not run its entire course.
yeah.
Because there's a precise moment where, frankly, I think that Shepard, having overheard it right here, where we're fighting to protect these people you're talking about letting die.
Yeah.
That's the step too far. So anyway, continue. Before
What I
we
was
don't have much time before we get to Thane's funeral. So.
Right. So end result is I think Odina, rather than being indoctrinated and rather than actually actively caring, like trying to save, he's an opportunist who saw a chance for him to gain power and saw a chance for his species to become the preeminent power in the universe. And he took it. And he rolled with it. And he went for it. Because that has been his goal the entire time. Is to put humans at the center. And put humans where he thinks they belong.
And it's really funny because in a perverse sense of the way he's getting what he wants. Under your hypothesis.
Exactly, which is so common with these kind of people. With these kind of they want something and they think, we need this, blah 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 blah, and they completely destroy their opportunity to get it by going, going for it. But I think that he has a clear dislike of anybody who isn't human. And has throughout the entire series. And I think that he is a useful fool for Cerberus.
Very much the useful idiot.
Oh, no.
Anyway, we're here. Here's Kolyat and here's Thane. And the whole thing about it is that a combination of trauma and his chronic medical condition has made it so he can't produce new blood cells, and frankly, they're rejecting even compatible. His body is rejecting even compatible blood right now. So it's minutes.
This part right here is on a whole different level of writing than
Morden had. He said he was in his quote last decade, and I think he was running on the actuarial tables with that. Not he knew that his life was coming to an end, but sort of, I'm in the late stages of Solarian life. By how Solarians live. They knew he was dying before we met him, and in fact, I think the favorite doctor who gave him 6 months to live, and that was a year and a half ago. That was before we met him, as well, and it had been 6 months since Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So our entire time knowing Thane, however briefly, was knowing a dying man.
Thane also possesses a spirituality and a faith that is hard to argue with because it's a faith that does not require other people to believe it. It doesn't require numbers. It is his personal belief.
It's why in the Mass Effect 2 videos, when it came to the recruitment mission, I called it recruiting the monk.
Yeah, exactly.
He is very much a church of one.
he is, and of course we later find out that there is some wider belief system that he is part of, that he believes and whatnot. But the the very moving thing that gets me every time with this, that puts tears in my eyes every time with this, is the praying for forgiveness, not for his sins,
Mm-hmm. But for ours.
but for ours, because he knows we're gonna have to kill a hell of a lot more people. Uh, um,
and do some frankly damned distasteful things. And I think it's fair to say that in the course of this trilogy, that Agatha Shepard has had to do some very distasteful things.
it's true.
Blowing up the Alpha Relay being the biggest side of it. You know, we joke about how they were Batarians, who gives a fuck, but you know, that was still several 100,000 civilians that died by our direct action.
And generally speaking, I am a firm believer in slavers. Who gives a fuck what happens to them? But if you do that, realistically speaking, you can't get the fellow that we meet in the Omega DLC, who actually is a decent being, who actually isn't a slaver. Culturally, they may be slavers. They are not genetically slavers. They are not.
We're talking about Bray,
Yes,
Arya's right hand.
exactly.
Yeah.
They are not a. So if you wipe them out, then you don't give them the opportunity to learn and redeem and become better and no longer be slavers.
Yep.
Now, if somebody is in the active action of slavery,
Fuck them.
fuck them. Put a bullet in them. No, no question. But if they are a species who minding their own business,
What's the difference between an individual whose society has slavery as one of its pillars versus someone versus that society? Is essentially,
yeah,
you know, judge an individual by the content of their character, judge a culture by its mores.
yeah. I mean, that's a good way of looking at it. That's a good, you know, if like I said, if you're in active participation or if you're in active profit from slavery, then things need to be done. But you also need to give people the opportunity to be able to say, you know what, we were wrong. We need to be better. We need to learn. We need to move forward. We need to be something other than what we were.
And, you know, that's a common that's a common failing, right, of American and in particular in Western in general thinking is this belief, because at one point it is true, but at the other point it ignores the reality of what it takes to enact such massive sweeping social change, and that is, yes, one person can be the pebble that starts the avalanche towards a massive social change. But that one person has a lot of backing behind them. And that one, that is usually like hidden in the background, or the backing is glommed on to a sob story. I hate to,
Good stories.
you know, there, the myth of Rosa Parks. Now, everything that happened to Rosa Parks was absolutely true,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she was already part of the of the boycott movements that were
Right.
moving on.
Yeah.
It was more a case of, hey, this happened. She went to a meeting and said, this happened, let's glom onto it. Because the groups that she was working with were already looking for a sob story, and they had someone with a similar story to Rosa Parks, but she wasn't as palpable to the media.
And I don't mean to take anything away from that whole story. That's a whole different. But the
Right.
end. So the way that she connects to, I want to say it's Little Caesar's Pizza.
Oh, God.
I want to say that's now somebody can.
No,
write
it's
in
Little
here,
Caesars.
Little Caesar's Pizza, and the fact that yes, folks, there are and can be rich people who are decent human beings. The guy who came up with Little Caesar's Pizza. And I don't remember his name, but apparently he paid for her apartment. He paid for her out of
in perpetuity.
in perpetuity out of sheer, and no one knew about it. And he didn't brag about it.
There's a couple of moral choices here that are coming up, and we made one of them already, where there was a argument between two weapons salesmen.
Oh, yes,
where
yes.
I was just like, it's time to cut prices and cut loose. Let's clear our inventory because people are going to want it. And the person's like, we put more guns on the street, a lot of people are going to die. It's a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic deterrence question. The more people who have guns, the more someone's liable to use them.
Yeah.
And it's setting up that militia training program. It's just like, it's not enough to sell the guns. Let's teach people how to use them. That's the best situation out of a bad thing.
And this has always been a belief of mine. If you were going to be a gun society, a society that
An armed society,
which you should be, as Marx said, the people should never be disarmed. You should be. However, you should also be a educated on firearms society. People should not just be picking up willy-nilly firearms and just walking around with them without any training whatsoever in their proper use and care.
Heck, I don't own a single firearm, but I know how to disassemble, clean, and reassemble like 18 different kinds.
And I don't think there is anything wrong with saying, you know what, this is something we should teach in schools. This is something we should teach I got taught it.
Yeah, but you were in an ROTC program.
This is true, I did. And
which is funny because you enlisted.
It's true. Junior ROTC.
Okay, so you were a child soldier, not a teenage soldier.
It's very true. And also, I had a college degree when I enlisted too, so that's besides the point. But here, I don't mean that people should be forced to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it should be an option, like driver's ed. We learn how to use this massive, dangerous thing, this giant tonnage machine, to use it safely and to operate it in a safe manner. We should also learn how to use firearms in a safe and effective manner. I clearly and openly admit to being a terrible shot. However, I know how to operate the AR platforms, the M9, I'm sorry,
the Beretta platform.
The Beretta platform, as well as a few other platforms. And I think that there is
value in that.
Value in a society who, far from viewing firearms in whatever way you want to view them as a tool to learn.
Now, you know what doesn't provide value as a society? Slavery. Slavery does not provide value as a society.
Absolutely.
And but it's going to come back and bite us.
Yeah.
At least very briefly. What's that, Commander? I'm losing your signal. So remember this guy? Our tiger scalped Batarian friend from Bring Down the Sky.
Yeah.
Now, if we kill him, we get like some nameless Batarian diplomat, but I think this makes for a much better story.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
I mean, don't get and this is sort of the culmination of the Batarian interactions that we've had, where this is, this is the final reckoning for Batarian culture. At this point, it's going to be pivot, and you can pivot now, you can rehabilitate your species, and come up with the rest of us, or you can stay on this course and die the slow, painful death.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be less than 5 billion Batarians left in the galaxy at this point.
Which seems like a huge number, but is not when you're talking galactic terms.
And galactic extinction event.
And galactic extinction.
I mean, when that number is constantly ticking down.
Exactly. And so now,
I do love this appeal of you of in the end it's like you thought you were coming here for vengeance, but you're here out of desperation. And that's why I love calling it out, because I'm speaking his language. I am talking down to him the way he talks down to other species, because that's what Batarians understand.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you got to address people on their level.
Yeah, you got to
this
speak to
whole
your audience.
this whole idea of where they go low, they go high. That's bullshit. Sometimes when they go low, you got to kick them.
You got to kick them right in the junk.
Speaking of which, how many testicles do you think Batarians have? The answer is 0, because I'm Agatha Christie and I crush them all.
Exactly. They could be a completely asexual species.
No, they're not. But
do we run into any female Batarians?
No, because like the Ferengi, they keep their women in chains.
See, there again, another thing that I dislike about them. At least the Ferengi learned.
Because how many boobs do female Batarians have? If they have 4 eyes, I'd like to see them have 4 boobs.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I am a very firm believer that the Ferengi redeemed themselves during Deep Space Nine.
Well, and a case of, again, judge people by the content of their character, not the society they were raised in. Here's Vega playing poker with a Batarian.
Indeed.
And he's probably a cool guy, presuming that he's, that's real money on the table and not counterfeit.
Well, natural disasters like, I don't know, the Reapers coming to destroy the entire all organic life in the galaxy tend to make people seem a little better than maybe they did before.
Well, there was also the Batarian that was standing next to the Frenchman, and the Frenchman was talking, and the Batarian's like, "Oh my God, I was raised to hate you. Shut up."
Indeed.
But they end up becoming, I don't want to say they become friends, but they reach that we're in this boat together sort of situation.
Udina, however, is an irredeemable ass.
Another quandary, and this is one that unlike with the militia thing, this is one I actually have problem with. Do you try to focus on being on keeping as law enforcement as much business as possible, or do you let the minor stuff go and only enforce the big laws that get where crimes that get other people hurt? And ultimately for me, I go on the side of, if you let the small shit slide, everything slides, and eventually you'll have an anarchy, and that's bad for the global, or galactic in this case, situation.
Broken windows. New York under Mayor Giuliani, back when I don't think he was ever actually sane or ever actually
he had 2 good weeks,
but he did have a really good idea, which is, if you take care of the broken windows, if you take care of the small stuff, if you take care of the ground level crime, that will things will get cleaned up. It'll bring in tourism. And things will eventually, you build from the bottom up.
And
instead
it
of
worked.
Taking care of, I mean, you look for whatever.
Now, this is another case where it's among the same thing, and this is an argument about plea bargains for not only criminals, but people who actively participated in violent events. Now this is a situation where this guy and his cohorts around the corner were all military, and the guy who was arrested was Alliance military, and so they're kind of a take it into our, this belongs in our wheelhouse sort of thing.
Yeah.
First off, Admiral Hackett's too fucking busy to be running a court-martial.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He's building an ancient alien super weapon to win this goddamn war.
That's right.
But there's this line right here. Who says this? Our chain of command says this, and you may be a civilian now, but you still know that chain, and you understand that chain.
Yep.
And and this is a philosophy that I'm going to be continuing on when we reach the Omega DLC. But it's, again, we have been asked to do some damn distasteful stuff in our life,
It's true.
but it's damn distasteful stuff we have been assured is necessary. Um,
Well, and the thing is that when you're military, going in that your profession, the profession of arms, means at the end of the day somebody's life is over. At the end of the day, somebody has a really bad day. Now, if you're lucky, you get to work humanitarians where at the end of the day,
you eat people?
at the end of the day, you prevent people from having to eat people. At the end of the day, what you're doing helps save lives and helps make the lives of other people better. If you're lucky.
Now, in this particular case with another law enforcement interaction, because we've had 3 now.
Right.
We have to keep the regular, we have to be as business as usual in terms of law enforcement. Plea bargains mean a thing because, frankly, no one gives a shit about a guy who left a door open.
Right.
But also here, I don't buy the fact that this guy's going to the bar to get vital information on Cerberus. I'm willing to bet that cafe has been a front multiple times for some shady dealings. He knows it. The bartender obviously knows it. And he's just using the emergency to get off his back. So it's, guy, get a fucking warrant. Because procedure needs to be adhered to.
Absolutely. I am a procedure guy down the line. The only time I'm like, look, if somebody is actively being harmed, sure, you can operate in a way to save other people's lives without a warrant, without there's extingent circumstances or something along those lines.
But the thing is that I'm willing to put down 1,000 credits that the evidence that he was seeking had nothing to do with the Cerberus coup.
But also, I don't see, there's no immediate, nobody's life is immediately being saved by that.
Can we stop for a second and appreciate that Solarians who only have 3 digits can do air quotes?
Can we stop and so that they understand what air quotes mean? You've got to be hanging out with humans for a long time.
Bureaucracy and political correctness and other such things, that's forever. That is universal.
It is.
So, to indicate, there has to be some equivalent in Solarian written dialect of quotation marks.
Indeed.
So, I'm just willing to say, in his case, because he only has 1 finger instead of 2 to do it with, they're parentheses.
Indeed.
So...
Indeed.
So it's not quote marks, it's parentheticals.
So here we have, and in modern storytelling, they really do a very good, way
Steve, I know you're gay, but if you don't want to be, I'm here for you.
They do a really good way of showing, hey, this is a frickin' war. And wars, by the way, are not pleasant. They are not clean. They are not nice. They are the last thing anybody ever wants, period, end of discussion, especially the people that actually have to go fight them.
There is no glory to be won here.
There isn't. There is no glory in war. There is no glory. There is no honor. There is nothing. And the only person that actually wins war is death. So you just survive war.
Now we'll talk about, and speaking of that, let's help someone meet death.
Are you Gorek?
I hate to say it, especially since we got done with Balak and the fact that Balak needs us because we're all the Patarians have. But this guy, even in his deathbed, and maybe it's because he's in his deathbed, not willing to let things go, is sort of it's a special kind of petty that I can respect, but at the same time, it's just like, dude, at this moment, you're still carrying that baggage.
No, me personally, I respect it. amazingly. I'm like, dude, yes. Go to your grave angry. Go to your grave petty. But
When you reach hell, you tell them that Agatha Fisty sent you.
that being said, it is better to live out of spite than to die because of it.
So there was a bird on an island that evolved twice
Yep.
after extinction, and like it evolved. The second time it evolved, it only evolved after like what I think it was 18 generations of being extinct.
And everything evolves eventually into crabs. You can all look that up.
Carcinization is a thing.
I'm not going to explain it. But here we have.
Yeah, it's yeah. I was really tempted to call the nurse and let him suffer, but at the same time, I mean, there's just one more Batarian on our kill count, so let's have him go.
What's one more when you've killed hundreds of thousands?
So, number of Batarians killed. Ding! So,
The next time we meet the Reapers, we should tell them that we've killed more than they have.
it's not necessarily true, but it's funny. So, whole reason I rushed down here is that we gotta check on our girl. And fortunately, she did what we asked her to. She changed her identity by changing her hair color, and that's it. And apparently changing clothes, because I think she had a red top on when we first met her.
I believe so, yeah.
So, but it's nice to know that she kept her bitch collar, though.
Oh, yeah, no, very nice.
Is that the proper term for that?
I don't know.
You've been to more clubs than me, so.
Well, no, that's true. I have, but I've been out of it for so long, you know.
So
I'm a married, respectable dad now.
Anyway.
Okay, 2 out of 3 of those things is true.
You're a married dad.
Exactly.
So, anyway. Checking up on one more thing. Oh, something's going on with the meta. Do you hear that music?
Oh, gods.
What?
Oh, gods.
What is that?
Oh, sweet gods above.
No.
Sweet gods.
No, it can't be.
Oh,
Someone ranting about Cerberus and us. No.
Sweet gods above and demons
No.
below. Oh, God, no. Why? Oh my gosh, this guy's like herpes.
Conrad Werner, you asshole.
Conrad Werner is the living embodiment of an STD.
No kidding. We keep taking antivirals and it keeps coming back.
Like, not even like a dangerous one either. Not
No.
like one that actually hurts you or actually can cause any problems.
No.
Just one that just...
HPV.
No, HPV can cause cancer. No, I'm talking like herpes. I'm talking something that has no, like, severe effects, but it's just always there.
It's the thing is that I love how he keeps thinking he's doing good, but he's too fucking dumb to realize how much of a fuck up he is.
Can we just put him on the front lines, away from everyone?
I mean, just don't do anything, Conrad.
If we dropped him from orbit, by the time he hit, would he actually cause any damage?
He keeps trying to ask for help, though. What good could he possibly give us?
Oh, genetic material? If we melted him down?
And this is the turn. I did my doctoral dissertation on xenotechnology and dark energy integration. Wait, what?
The fuck?
Dr. Conrad Werner, PH goddamn D? What the fuck have you been doing with your existence?
I honestly know too many doctors who are like this.
Is this a case of, like, he was like the Ghostbusters who all had PhDs and, like, but was laughed out?
Yeah, probably. But it's not, like, as uncommon as you might think.
Uncommon or not, it's still effing painful.
It is. It's painful. It's very painful.
We'd need a lot of ancient Asari writing to
I
translate.
wish I did pull my gun on him that one time, but pulling your gun on him would result in him being dead, and the whole reason why I didn't do it is because
Let's see.
he's not a lovable idiot. It's more like he's our idiot to deal with.
It's true.
Because if he wasn't our idiot, he would be someone else's idiot.
And then he would be an idiot against us.
Like, could we just like put him on the Normandy and like keep him in a storage locker where he'll be safe and out of the way?
In a cryo bed?
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
You know, in 600 years, he'll get a message from his sister.
Ooh, you know what? We could launch him to
Andromeda.
Andromeda. He should have showed up in Andromeda.
Put him in Liam's car.
He should have showed up. That was a missed opportunity, BioWare.
Well, in Andromeda, you encounter his sister. And he's saying, ha! And he's like, I can't wait to send a message back to my brother and say, ha! See, I did do something with my life. And Ryder will go, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, like, we got our own Werner in Andromeda.
Sorta.
But, you know, I would love if after the fact, like, Conrad is sent on the second wave of Andromeda colonists. And so, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm hoping to say hello to my sister.
Yeah.
It's like, even by the clock here, you're going to arrive like 300 years after they do. So good luck with that.
Oh,
But then
time travel is, oh my gosh,
It's not
it hurts
even-
my head.
It's not even time travel. It's just the travel time.
Faster than light travel is time travel.
But because of the Mass Effect, relativity doesn't exist. So
Wait.
shoot him! Shoot him! Kill him! Kill him now! Yes! No! Shit! There was no gunshot. There was no blood. He's okay.
Damn it.
Why? Why, God? Why?
It would have been funny if he did it. Were you hit? No, I threw out my back.
Aw, we remember her. She was the waitress in the strip club.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those... This right here is indicative of something that I think a lot of people who didn't like Mass Effect 3's ending wanted more of, which is the, oh, by the way, remember me?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like the, by the way, remember me stuff, and I'm like, and I'm kind of like, I like a little bit of it, and I don't mind it when it happens, but I'm also kind of...
There are times and places.
Yeah, and it doesn't, if it's not there, it doesn't bother me.
So, anyway, that is that for all that we have on the Citadel coup. We need to head back to the Normandy, call Captain Anderson, and kind of get our ducks in the proverbial row there. So,
Indeed.
yeah. Hopefully there will be no more unpleasant surprises along the way, but we'll have to see about that, won't we?
Indeed.
So
to the elevator.
oh yeah, gotta give this guy his footage.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you gotta slip me like 500 credits. Well, he gave me a level up, I'll take it.
Now, personally, and this is just an aside as we go, as somebody who served in the military and who has been to various combat areas or AORs or whatever you want to call them, whatever your particular thing. Anyways, I am a firm believer and supporter of journalists being allowed to see what's going on.
Yeah, but that'll be something that we'll cover next in a future video when we
Indeed.
do that. So let's see. Back to the Normandy. Oh,
Shepard,
This one.
I don't know what to say.
yeah, we did kind of point guns at each other, didn't we?
I mean, that usually isn't a relationship killer for us.
How did you end up working with Udina? You saw me in the hospital.
Lens flare. Oh God. Who the hell directed this?
So, J.J. Abrams, that too.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
It explains so much.
it sure turned into a mess.
Well,
I have to say, I don't like the little circle things on her
Very
uniform.
badly.
yeah, I don't like her uniform and the miniskirt and whatnot anyway. She
Oh,
should
yeah, yeah,
she should have been in fatigues.
Yeah, absolutely. Her uniform is very weird.
Was he
Not to mention
indoctrinated?
her hairstyle is
It's hard to say.
completely
How do we find
weird.
something?
It's very much mom wanting to enter the swingers life.
Yeah, but it just gets in your way when you're trying to kill things.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have her put a helmet on. So,
Yeah, that's good.
all right, Ashley, get on the ship.
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't turn down companions unless, of course, it's Asterion from Baldur's Gate 3.
But that's just because it's fun to stab him when he's trying to eat you.
Exactly. Also, it's fun to, like,
Yeah.
do something that all of the girlies that love him
Yes, ma'am.
complain about. But anyways, that's besides the point. I never turned down a companion, so come on, Ashley, let's go.
All right, last debriefing with Lance Hendrickson and Keith David. But seriously, I could listen to these two guys read the phone book.
Right? Oh, I love me some Keith David. I love me some Keith David.
What the hell for?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's get you a laser sword and some artificer armor so you can go fight the Reapers alongside the Master Chief.
Right? I gotta admit though, Halo has some killer music.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was one of their brilliant bits. So
Kaylee Sanders and I had our share of run-ins. I shot him in both legs once.
shot him in both legs once, and that just pissed Kai Lang off.
Stronger.
Elusive man patch him up.
That is why you use a shotgun, so you take the entire leg off.
Oh Jesus.
And then you make sure that you're firing explosive tip rounds.
Can't. I'm just gonna go with it. But yeah, so now we got to be on the watch for Cerberus. I mean, we already kind of were, but now we really got to be on the watch for him.
Yeah, I mean, if they're the honestly, I feel like they're the secondary or antagonist in this game to the Reapers, but they're really kind of more the primary because the Reapers are kind of in the background. They're this thing in the background, but
it's like how Godzilla is not a protagonist or an antagonist. They're a presence.
And Cerberus is kind of the actual like they're who we're fighting. They're something that we can fight and something that we can get down on and really go against. Which I think is a brilliant move storytelling wise.
Yep.
Because again, the Elusive Man is so much better of an enemy.
Oh, it's Jed Bartlett.
Well, yeah, because it's Jed, because it's a descendant of Jed Bartlett.
I loved you in Wall Street. Name that movie anyway.
Hot shots.
Part deux.
Part two. That is correct. But and again, brilliant voice acting and brilliant character work. I think.
So it's yeah.
I mean, what can you say?
So we have completed the Citadel coup chapter and are moving on to our second act of Mass Effect 3 after this. So there's a whole lot to get done. We've got orders to go to the Geth border because the Quarians got a little froggy.
Yep.
We still have some unfinished business with Arya, and now Liara is asking us to do something as well. So we got a busy plate lined up for us.
Indeed, but I suppose we're gonna have to.
So, I mean,
she is blue and sexy.
Yep. And she's our girlfriend.
If you're into that sort of thing, I mean, me, I prefer.
I mean, going on to the hub, I am very much into that sort of thing. Anyway, so we've got a whole checklist of things to do, and we've got some final respects to pay. So until then, I'll be seeing ya.
Deuces.